Hey, hello there, VC. Welcome back to Vinyl Grooves. It's been about a week, so I've been pretty busy. It is a 3-day weekend, so pretty happy about that. But I do have some records to show you, so let's get right down to it. This is going to be most of what I have today is on the electronic side and mostly instrumental. And it's just basically how my collection runs. It's just kind of a trippy collection. This one is a reissue from Medical Records. It is Vortex by Paul Nelson. And this is kind of an interesting story, actually. Paul Nelson recorded this in Portland, Oregon in 1981. And he made 1,000 copies. And I guess for a few years there, you could still get them. You could still find them in bins. And then it kind of became a collector's item because he made 1,000. And it really is an awesome album as far as electronic music. And so I think in 2013, Medical Records picked it up and reissued it. And I don't know how many synthesizers he uses or how many banks of synths. I mean, it's just a whole boatload of them. But it goes from one song that he actually uses his voice on with vocoders and sings, but it's still very sci-fi-ish and that early 80s style, to side 2 that's very ambient-ish, is very ambient. It kind of flows in and out and is the electronics are almost, I would say, squiggly. It's very different, very 80s electronic, but it is so worth checking out. I mean, I play this a lot, and I'll just show you the album. It's kind of a cool, almost a 80s looking, might call it splatter, I guess, splatter. So these are still available. You can still get them. I would pick it up. It's very good. The next one, and you guys are probably going to get tired of this, but what can you say? Hawkwind. This is probably about the 4th Hawkwind album you've seen on the show, and this is the 6th episode. I love them. I mean, it's hard to get around the fact that these guys were so heavily influential on the space rock genre. And this one sounds a little different than their classic albums of the 70s, but this is a classic album in its own right, and I would put it up alongside any of them. I mean, it's spacey, trippy, psychedelic. I think they recorded it, I think it was 69 and released it in 70. This is not an original black vinyl. It's kind of cool, there's like a little note from each member of the band. Like, for example, to us. So, Dave Brock says, well, I've been busking for about 10 years, on and off, and I'm still doing it. Made a couple of albums, blues anthology. In fact, I don't really do much except play music. Dave Brock, and tells what he does, vocals, 6 and 12 string guitars, harmonica, and percussion. You got Nick Turner. I just dig freaking about on a saxophone. If I could play guitar, I'd dig that too. I've bummed around quite a bit on and off and the music scene, and now I'm with Hawkwind. Things are even better. Groove, Nick Turner. I'm reading a book about Hawkwind right now. What's it called? I think it's called like the Hawkwind Saga. I had to download it on Kindle. I bought it for like $10 for my iPad. If you want to actually buy a physical copy, they're upwards to $50 or $60. And it's very interesting, the way they started out, met, and the trials and tribulations that they go through. But keep on going. I'm sure most of you have heard this album, and it just gets better and better with each listen. I want to do a shout out to John Coltrane, 68. Thank you so much, man, for your nice comments. We're just starting out here, so it's going to take some time to get some subscribers and some likes and stuff. And, thank you for your time. So I picked an album just for you, just, as a gesture of friendship. And you would know more about this than I would. But it's Cosmic Music by John and Alice Coltrane. I really dig Alice. I have a lot of her albums, and I'm going to continue to collect her albums as time goes on. John Coltrane, man, this is my second album by him. The other one is Love Supreme. I just haven't got into him yet. The spark hasn't lit. But I'm so happy to have this. I picked it up this week. I've only listened to it twice. But the Great Big Gatefold is awesome. I guess John was really into spiritual jazz. Sorry for my ignorance on Coltrane. I just don't know much about him. I like jazz fusion. I have a whole box of it. I have about 100 fusion albums, but don't know much about Coltrane himself. I do know this was released after he died, and he only plays on 2 songs. There's 4 songs on here, and they each get 2 songs. And so he got 2, and Alice got 2, and it's not surprising I like the Alice ones better. He's very all over the place. I mean, it's good. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but he's a challenging listen, especially on this album here. And she's a little bit more mellow. And this isn't her first album. The first time that she's been on Wax. She had another. She was on at least one more of his albums, and maybe a side band or side person on a couple other albums. And this is the second album that she was on as far as a leader. So I can't wait to keep listening to it and just kind of opening my mind towards more Coltrane. And John Coltrane 68, if you got any recommendations, let me know. And by the way, man, I've checked out your channel, and it is really good. I never watched any of your videos before, but I really like them. Right before the show, I was watching one of your videos, and I was listening to one of your recommendations, Oracle, and I forget the title, but it was recorded in '89, and they're from Houston, and you call the vocalist like a Southern Fried Sky Saxon. So, and also I've got a couple of your recommendations that I put on my want list, my Discogs want list. So, thanks again, man. I'm going to keep watching. So, mail time. Looks like I got some mail today. Let's see what we got. Last time I did this, I had to really edit it out. I had my address all over it. But, my watch is back. Let's see how that turns out. So this came in the mail today. I'm not really surprised, but this is something that I've been listening to quite a bit on YouTube, and finally ordered it. That's the cool thing about full albums on YouTube, is you can listen to them. I mean, I'm glad bands put them out there, or the people put them out there, because it's like a try before you buy. And I really was impressed with this one. And it's Montibus Communitas. And it's from Beyond is Beyond Records. And they're a great little label. I think they're up in New York or something. But this is a really cool band. This this album here is called "The Pilgrim to the Absolute," and all the song titles have something to do with the pilgrim. You know, so the pilgrim, I guess, is a person on a journey, and the album is more of an experience than songs. They all kind of flow into each other. It's hard to call it space rock or prog. It's just all types of sounds, tribal effects. You get the feeling that you're on a boat on the Amazon River at night, just going down and having some type of a tribal ceremony as you listen to this album. It's really good, but it's you have to envelop yourself in it, and it's almost like you have to imagine yourself as the pilgrim and create your own story. I mean, because there are no vocals, you know, and there's crickets and animal voices or animal sounds. There's water sounds, there's sounds of nature. This whole thing is just full of different sounds, and the music is in there, but it's, like I said, it's more like an experience. You know, there's the songs, let's see here. The Pilgrim Under Stars, The Pilgrim at the Woods, The Pilgrim to the Shrine. So he's taking some type of a journey. And I guess it's up to you to actually fill in the blanks if you really have the time and want to create this. I mean, so this is a piece of art. And that's what I like. I like bands like this. They're not lazy bands. They actually are artists. They create just great pieces of work. And it's just up to you as far as how far you want to go into it. I mean, I wouldn't. This isn't the kind of album that you drive to. I mean, it's you sit on your sofa with the sound blasting and just go on a trip with these guys. Here's another electronic album. It's a classic, Vangelis. Albedo 0.39. Vangelis, in some circles, some people I've talked to or message boards, he kind of has this tainted vibe about him as far as new age music. And it started around the 80s with like Chariots of Fire. But if you check out his 70s work, you know, it's great. I mean, it really is. It rivals, especially if you like late 70s Tangerine Dream. Check out, I mean, there's a whole library of his stuff. And if you like, especially Tangerine Dream, the late 70s stuff, check this out. I mean, it is really good, and it's not new agey. I mean, this is top shelf electronic music that takes you on an adventure. It's very creative. I mean, sometimes it's very spacey. And I would say this is probably my favorite Vangelis album. Now, as you see, I was very hesitant about that because there's a lot going through my head right now as far as Vangelis. I have a lot of his albums. He's got some that are very adventurous. So if you haven't, you know, if you think he's very new agey and cheesy, no. Check out his 70s stuff. You will be pleasantly surprised. One of my favorite nighttime music albums. Pete Barton's. He was one of the original members of Camel. I've got some of their stuff as well, and I like this album better than what do I have, like this Snow Camel. I can't remember which one I have, but I like this better than the Camel stuff. It is I mean, there's a couple of songs with vocals on it, which I don't really care for. I think one was actually a hit in like Australia, but it's perfect just to lay down and go to sleep to. You know, you close your eyes and you're in space. And it does what it's supposed to do. I mean, the cover or the music sounds like the cover. So if you can track this down, I totally recommend it. It's another just great electronic album. And I know he's got a lot of solo albums, but this is the only one I ever got from him. I picked it up in, I don't know, probably 87 or 88. It was cheap at a record bin, and I thought it looked cool. And it ended up, I mean, it's gotten so many spins over the years, you would be surprised that it's not worn out, and it's not. But check that one out. Now here's one, if you haven't heard of these guys yet, you must check them out. The Electric Moon. They are from Germany, and basically it is improvised acid rock. So, you know, there's a whole krautrock revolution. Now, maybe some krautrock purists are saying that you can't, you know, that it ended in the mid to late 70s and all this is just a fad or it's not real, but I don't care. I don't listen to that. I mean, if it sounds good, it's good. And this is fantastic. You know, a lot of this stuff is really expensive now because, you know, these bands only put out 500 copies, 300 copies, and once it's gone, it's gone. You got to wait for a reissue. And this, I got lucky because I got into them kind of late. This is a reissue. And this is really 2 albums that they had released. One was called Lunatics and the other is Lunatics Revenge. So originally they were released individually, but they had decided to put them out as a reissue. And it's just beautiful. I mean, the vinyl, the artwork. And I want to give a thank you to Lulu. I asked her if I could put a link to my show on her Facebook channel or her Facebook group, and she said absolutely, and she did. So thank you, Lulu. Like I said, you're a class act. You're great, and if you haven't heard of Electric Moon, go out and at least listen to it on YouTube and just have it blow your mind, and then you can go from there and decide if you're going to buy any of their albums. But this is not the first time you've heard of this collective on my show, and this will not be the last because there's other bands involved. Zone 6, Space Lords, Sulu Basana. I have a lot of those albums, and we'll continue to collect them when I get the money, because some of them aren't cheap. They're out of print, but or some of them still are in print, so buy if you can. So anyway, thanks again, and Electric Moon. Keep rocking to that. Okay, so this is the last one of the good ones tonight, or I have another one, but it's a dollar album, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This one, I don't know how to pronounce it. Manami Dooch. I don't know. I got it from Capchow Records, and it sat there for a long time, and I was going to buy it, and I kept waiting for it to kind of go out of print or, you know, out. I guess what I'm trying to say is to sell out. And it was peculiar. It didn't seem like anybody was buying it. So, but anyway, they had a sale, so I bought it, and this is probably one of the better buys this year. This is a Japanese band that made one of the better krautrock albums of the year. It even sounds like they're singing in German, and they might be, because it didn't sound Japanese to me. This is really, really, really good stuff. I think it's just black vinyl. But, I mean, if you haven't heard of these guys, and let me put it up here one more time because I butcher these names. Manami Deutsch. So, I'm guessing it's something German. This is self-titled. Check this out. I mean, and you can drive to this too. I mean, this isn't the kind of album, let's say, you know, there are some krautrock albums that you can't really drive to, like Agitation Free. What is it? That 22-minute song, Loop 4. That's one where you just veg out on the sofa for 22 minutes. And I mean, if you were to drive to it, you would probably nod out. This one, you can just enjoy just hanging out on the sofa, driving, and each listen is just better and better and better. And I hope that we hear so much more from these guys. And I just really do yourself a favor and at least YouTube them and listen, and then hopefully you'll buy it. I mean, it's good stuff. So that's it for my actual collection. And so I try to end each show with a dollar bin. So whenever I'm at the store, I go through and try to find something interesting. And I picked this one up. And it's one of those like 12-inch dance music, but it's not really dance. I mean, this is really good electronic music, and that's really all I can say. Is I think it was maybe the 90s, like 1996. It's a band. It's called the Hazy Days Calef. Present Wax On, Wax Off 002. I don't even know if this is the real album cover for it. I couldn't find much online about them. All I know is that they are wonderful for $1. And normally these little dance albums, you know, I guess 12 inches or whatever, I mean, they don't last long. They're about 10 minutes on each side. This one's about 20 minutes on each side. It's a long album. So, I mean, I got a heck of a deal. And you know, go through the dollar bins, find interesting stuff. I mean, yeah, you're going to find some stinkers, man, but you'll find some good stuff. This is going to my collection. You know, and it's got a cool little picture of Miyagi there. Wax on, wax off. But this one, for $1, I mean, I'd have paid more for it if I would have heard it on YouTube. So, well, that is it. Oh, one more shout out. I just want to say that I do a lot of shopping at Doc's record shop store. And I just want to say that if you're in the Fort Worth area and you haven't discovered these guys or this store, check them out. They're really good. It's probably the truest record store on this part of DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't get into Dallas much, so it's either like Half Price Books or really, there's a few others, but this is the best around here. So give them check them out if you can. I do most of my shopping on Discogs or Bandcamp. But anyway, you guys have a great Labor Day, and we will see you next time.